A bunch of the children in our project, you could never tell that they might have started off at the age of 6 years old, effectively addicted to glue, on the streets, hungry, alone, terrified. Now you see them and you think, there's a kid who's really making something of themselves. I'm Cathal. I set up the Mathari Children's Fund way back about 12 years ago now. There are 120 children who come from a slum on the north side of Nairobi. Very, very tough place called Mathari. And it has about 600,000 people crammed into a very, very small space. You'll probably have 8 people in a shack. A bunch of children looked after by their mother, if she's still alive, or maybe just an older sister. And we take those children and we give them a chance to make their way out of the slum. The first thing we focus on is education itself. We send them to good schools where we know the teachers, we know the principal of the school, and where we know that the child is going to be well treated and will actually learn something. Primary education in government schools is free. It's very, very hard to get children into those schools. They're packed. And also, most of those schools, they charge some kind of fee. They'll call it a desk fee or an extra tuition fee or a sports fee or whatever. But the fact is, you need money.
Most of them are in the streets because their families and parents cannot, or guardians cannot afford to provide education. There are lots of street children projects going on, and usually what happens is they do the rehab, but then they don't have the resources to take these kids to school. So eventually most of the kids go back to the streets.
We take them from rehab centres which have gotten them off the glue, gotten them ready for school, and we make sure that they then get into a school and that they get to stay there until their education is finished, and that can be years. We stick with them. We pay for school fees, give the children uniforms, books, obviously very important, and we provide for their basic supplies, of soap, toothbrush, whatever, and food. It's very, very frequent for children to go 4 or 5 days with almost no food at all, and so the children search around the rubbish tips and look for something that they can eat. And so one of our key focus is to make sure that every child gets at least one big, square, nourishing meal every day. We actually have a feeding program in our own centre in the slum, where every day we cook for about 40 children that are there. In 2010, we finished building a street children's centre right in the middle of the slum. That's where we have our feeding programme and the counselling rooms and a place for kids to wash their clothes. A place for kids to gather and have little seminars. The older kids train the younger ones what to look out for and really teach them the importance of studying and working hard and making the most of the opportunity. They have time to play checkers. They make checkers boards themselves out of wood and bottle tops, and they're great, great checkers players. But fundamentally it's about work and learning things and learning how to cope.
Tena.
Medicine is of course important, so we make sure that every child gets one complete checkup each year, and we get them the treatment they need if they have something. The project is run really by 3 Kenyans, fully trained, qualified social workers, Titus, Jofinta and Richard. They are responsible for everything that goes on in Nairobi. They pick the children, they do the background check on all of the children, they meet the guardian, if there is one. They are the people who speak with the school principals and the teachers and get to know what goes on in the schools. They're the ones who bring the children to school and then do follow-up visits. They are the ones who sit with that child and help the child get through whatever it is that threatens to disrupt that child's education. Their lives continue to be very unstable in the slum. You'll get fires going through the slum. They'll lose everything they have. A sister or brother dies of AIDS. And what we make sure is that those events don't result in the child going back on the streets, and give them counselling and help them through and give them stability in their lives so they can really focus on their education. For $15 a week, which is 3 cappuccinos, you can take a child in Mathari, get them off the street into school and give that child a future. And I can't think of any other place in the world where a little bit of money can achieve such a dramatic result. We now have children in college. By the time they finish, they are well educated and they're ready to go out into life.
I want to be a doctor because I want to treat people.
They have settled down, learned to focus. They have worked extremely hard to take advantage of the opportunity. They've learned to hope for the future. They now fully expect to be engineers, doctors, pilots, all the things that your children would like as well.